Hello, I am officially back from our 4-week trip and I am super excited. Mainly because I have now officially hosted my daily talk show, meaning that you guys have got me on tap for the foreseeable future every single day. Now, the thing that I'm most excited about here is having more of a community platform and forum where we can riff on the things that you guys want to ask. So if you're new to my community, please do drop your questions down below on the YouTube comment section, because what I'm going to be doing is using your questions to host these bite-sized laser audios that you can just plug into whilst walking your dog, taking a poo, do whatever you want to do on a day-to-day basis. Now, to bring this back today, what I wanted to do is dive into a conversation that I feel has been super relevant to me. And some of you will have heard me have this conversation because it's kind of been the shift that I've been going through recently inside of my business. And it's been about projections in business and how do we overcome them. Now, I've been in business since I was 16, and I'm very blessed that I've always been very confident in what I do and the service that I provide. Because I've done the training, I've, got the education, I've really leaned into my values as a holistic practitioner, but also as a business practitioner, blending the emotional and the physical. Now, the last year is the first time in my business where I felt like I had all these projections thrown at me. Now, when we speak about projections, what I'm speaking about is it could be clients, it could be family, it could be different things that throw at you and make you feel bad about the pathway that you're going down. Now, whenever we witness projections, I think what we have to step into is the awareness that there is always room for growth. And the feedback that I've had in business has always been something that has made me sit down and question how I can get better, how I can lead better, how I can, bring in more team, do the things that is relevant for my community. But then that also reaches a time where you say, that's not a me problem, that's a you problem. And how can I be expected to fix that? Now, I'm going to tell you about a very real experience that I had in business around 2 years ago, where somebody had paid me for a session, and they'd paid me for this session, and they'd booked it on the calendar, and we were just about to get on the call. I think it was about 2 days until her call. And I get this email that says, hey, that call that I paid for, I'm going to need a refund because I can't afford my rent. And I remember sitting there and saying, can you imagine if I took a t-shirt back, or if I went to a restaurant and said, hey, can you give me a refund for that food that I just bit because, I can't afford my rent right now. It just wouldn't land. It just wouldn't happen. But when you're in the online space, there's a lot of projections that come your way. And it's going to be projections that in real brick and mortar business, you probably wouldn't come up against. Nobody would come into my massage salon and say, hey, hon, can I have a refund because I can't afford my rent? Nobody would come into my massage salon and say, you're not very good at what you're doing. It just wouldn't happen. But in the online space, it's become very, very easy to receive that criticism, that negativity, that demand of refund, because people aren't managing their money and they aren't thinking before they make investments. But also because it's so easy when somebody is successful to say, I want what they have, they don't deserve that. I didn't get the transformation inside of their space, therefore I want everybody to think badly of them. And I feel like I had to get very, very comfortable with how do I allow myself to allow negativity in a positive way? Meaning that whenever we come up against projections, there's always awareness that we can have around, what do I need to change here? How do I need to evolve as a practitioner, as a mentor? But then there's also that moment where you need to realize that nothing is truth unless you make it truth. And if you decide that everybody else's comments about you are truth, then you're going to hold yourself back in business. And I was actually listening to something the other day, and this sums it up perfectly around, if you didn't have blue hair and somebody came up to you and said, I don't like your blue hair, you wouldn't be offended because you don't have blue hair. But if you did have blue hair, you might be like, okay, well, that was rude, and get triggered by the communication that was coming to the surface. Now, for those of you who know me, you know that I live with Lewis, meaning that I don't get offended very easily because Lewis says exactly what he thinks in every setting always. However, it doesn't come from this malicious intention. It comes from, I'm just going to say the thing and leave it as it is. Now, when people communicate feedback, they communicate maybe criticism, they have an opinion of us as a practitioner, a therapist, a business owner. It's really easy to attach perspective of this means something bad. But actually what I've learned through my evolution of business and maturity is that sometimes people don't mean anything bad. They're not trying to criticize you or make you think badly of yourself. They are offering feedback, but your opinion of yourself is what's creating this perspective that is making it bigger than what it is. Now, does it really matter if somebody doesn't like your blue hair? No, because if you like it, you like it. And we had this conversation with Luna just the other week when she came home from nursery and one of her friends didn't like her t-shirt. And I was like, but babe, do you like it? And she said, yeah. And I was like, well, that's all that matters. As long as you like it, everybody else's opinion doesn't matter. And it's where did we get so offended where everybody else's opinion makes us question ourselves and our own ability. You're gonna have opinions. People are gonna have opinions on your content, on your outfits, on your confidence, on all of the things. I hosted my first ever in-person event, and of course I was nervous. Like for the first couple of minutes I was like, ugh, can I really get my words out there? I'm nervous. It's not normal for me to stand on a stage speaking to people. And I kind of honored that. I vocalized it. I addressed the elephant in the room. But somebody actually messaged me who's never hosted an event before and was like, maybe you should do it like this. And I was like, okay, triggered because I did my best. And also that was nerve-wracking. But the more I sunk into it, I was like, where am I allowing myself to digest beliefs and thoughts that I don't need to internalize? And if we're going to grow and scale our business, we have to stop internalizing. And this is not, strategy focused. This is energy focused because you only allow the energy in that you allow in. So if you're feeling this kind of psychic attack energy where other people's words and emotions and thoughts are literally beating you down, then it's because you haven't realized that you can cut the cord. Now, everything is energy. And when we're witnessing psychic attacks, what that is an etheric cord between you and everybody else in your surrounding. And when they think badly of you and they have a negative thought, they can push that energy down the etheric cord and it starts to affect you until you cut that cord and say, that's not mine to take on. And so I wanted to jump on here for our daily riff today and just say, what energy are you taking on that's not yours? What energy are you digesting that is not your energy to digest? And what would it look like for you to start putting these disconnects in place that say, I'm not going to absorb this? And I had this recently in my business where somebody came to me and she hadn't had the experience that she wanted inside of my space. There wasn't the profit that she desired inside of her business. But there was also things that I'd asked to be implemented that weren't implemented. But it's never my desire to make somebody unhappy inside of my space. So with that, it created this uncomfortable energy because I was like, well, I want you to be happy and I want you to feel welcome in my space and I want to do what I know how to do. But also, like, there's a projection that I'm not doing enough. And also, like, I've given the thing. And I had to get super, super comfortable for the first time in my life and career, knowing that sometimes you just have to let people exit your space because there's nothing that you can do to serve them. And I feel as though when we're in the how of business, we're giving people the how. Not everybody's going to implement. Not everybody's going to integrate. They might soak up your workshop, your podcast, they might soak up listening to you live and all of the things, but that doesn't mean they're going to integrate. Not everybody is going to sit there and digest what it is that you're saying in a way that starts to shift their business or the service that you're providing. And you have to get comfortable knowing that, do you think Ferrari stopped making Ferraris because somebody writes a bad review? There are people out there that would not buy a Bentley because they don't like the way that they drive. But do you think Bentley stopped creating those cars because of those people? No. They focus on their active community and the ones that want to listen to them, want to digest them, and want to soak up their magic. And I had to get so comfortable with, where can I lean in more to my community who love me than leaning into a community that don't value me? Because if I don't feel like I'm valued here, then obviously the connection is already disconnected because healthy relationships need to happen for both me and you. But also I'm going to take on board what you've said and digest that. But if I can't digest that and feed to you in a healthy way, then instead I'm going to focus on digesting it and feed into my audience of active community that want to buy from me. So right now in your business, I want you to ask yourself, what projections from other people have made you question yourself? And it could be things like, I've had, you talk too fast, it doesn't make sense, there's no solution, whatever it may be. Yet there is, right? I talk too fast, but that's only ever come from criticism of people that don't buy from me. The people that buy from me have never sat there and said, you talk too fast. I don't want to buy from you because you talk too fast. They know that when I get in my energy and I get in my flow, the words come out and the magic just brews. So the intention here is to look at what thoughts and feelings are being projected onto you and how are you going to disconnect that by taking back your power. Because when you take back your power, nothing on this planet can stand in your way.